Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. Tragedies like these are often seen from a global outsider's perspective in terms of casualty numbers and fallout zones. One New York family has experienced this heartbreak from far too close to home. To bring you this story, I traveled to Queens, and I found the atomic accidents can take an all too human face.
17-year-old Peter Parker was not your typical teenager. A straight-A student at New York's Midtown High School, he was the apple of his Aunt May and Uncle Ben's eye. Unfortunately, as happens far too often, this did not translate into admiration from his classmates such as Eugene Flash Thompson.
Parker was a complete nerd, a real grundle puncher, you know? I mean, like, I hate to speak ill of the dead or everything, but like, you know, this guy wouldn't have known a good time if it walked up and smacked him in the head with a beer can, you know?
While the respect of his peers eluded him, Peter often sought comfort in the loving arms of his foster parents, Benjamin and May Parker.
Peter was our life. We couldn't have loved him any more than if he were our own son.
Peter's birth parents, Richard and Mary, were killed in a tragic plane accident when he was just a little boy. His aunt and uncle, childless after many years of marriage, took the shaken youngster in and raised him as if he were their own.
He was just so kind and generous. I'll never forget the look on his face when we bought him his first telescope. And then he asked us how much it cost and whether we could afford it. That's the kind of boy he was.
As he moved up in school, he found himself drawn more and more towards the natural sciences. He excelled in physics, chemistry, and biology. His teachers had nothing but praise for the bespectacled boy genius.
Mr. Parker was an excellent student, by far the best science students I'd ever seen. He had this knack for ingenuity and invention that was far beyond your average high school sophomore. His age, he'd already started this research into this fast-acting, ultra-strong adhesive he called, it was like a webbing, really. It's a damn shame he never lived to patent it. He would have made a fortune.
Ironically, it was Peter's love of science that ultimately led to his downfall. On August 20th, Empire State University was holding an exhibit on radioactivity, an event that Peter had been looking forward to for weeks.
Oh yeah, he asked us if we all wanted to go, as if we wanted to sit around and watch some old quacks fiddle with their atom smashers.
So you turned him down?
Yeah. Yup.
Now, Flash, do you remember what you said specifically to Parker?
Oh, I don't know. I probably called him an egghead loser douchebag, yuppie piece of crap scum. But, you know, I mean, I said those things all the time. It was a regular basis, you know? Between the ball kicks and the swirlies and the, you know, the uppercuts to his taint. I don't remember half the crap I did to this kid.
A few minutes later, Peter arrived at the ESU exhibition lab. There, amongst his intellectual peers, he soon forgot all about the taunts and jeers of his classmates as he was immersed inside the fascinating world of atomic science. The experiment was relatively simple, a basic demonstration involving the control of radioactive rays. As the experiment began, no one noticed a tiny spider descending from the ceiling on an almost invisible strand of web. A spider whom fate had given a starring role, if brief, to perform in the drama we call life. Accidentally absorbing a fantastic amount of radioactivity, the dying insect, in sudden shock, bit the nearest living thing, at that split second before life ebbed from its radioactive body. Unfortunately, that living thing happened to be Peter Parker.
Oh, you've never seen a boy look so sick. He came stumbling through the door, muttering something about spidey senses tingling and radiation, and oh, his color was terrible. He was all red and blue, and he barely made it into the den before he collapsed onto my table of Hummel figurines, throwing up everywhere. And after I made sure that none of them were broken, I called the hospital.
Peter was rushed to Bellevue Hospital and immediately given a barrage of tests. The results were dire.
So what happened to Peter?
Every test we administered showed the same results. Peter had an advanced form of leukemia, some horrible mutated strain from acute radiation poisoning. This was no ordinary case of leukemia. This strain, fundamentally altered by the spider's physiology, ripped through young Peter's body almost overnight, destroying his coordination, sapping his strength, altering his senses to the point where all he could feel was a maddening, tingling sensation, almost as if this strain of cancer had the proportionate strength and speed of a spider.
Peter Parker died of complications resulting from leukemia at 6:16 that morning. Services were held the next week, attended only by his aunt and uncle, and next-door neighbor Mary Jane Watson. Hundreds of students from his high school class were forced by their principal to present at the ceremony. Parker was 17 years old.
Hey man, I got out of a geometry test to come to this funeral. At least the spaz turned out good for something.
I can't imagine what my life's going to be like now that Peter isn't around to affect it. I don't know what's going to become of me. Or May.
Famed attorney Matthew Murdoch has spoken in public about bringing legal action against Empire State University. When asked for comment regarding possible litigation, ESU responded with the following letter. All of us at Empire State University's Department of Atomic Studies offer our deepest condolences to the Parker family at this tragic time. Peter was a brilliant student, a talented photographer, and an upstanding young man. He taught us all that the power of the atom is great, and with great power comes great responsibility. Empire State will reportedly dedicate a physics scholarship in Peter's name. For Ben and May Parker, who will never fully recover from their overwhelming loss, the promise of hope for children in need brings a touch of solace to their elderly couple.
He's a real tortured soul. I'm surprised it's the leukemia that killed him and not a freaking blade to his wrist, you know? Like, I mean, constantly I would belittle this kid to the point where he would cry and urinate himself in front of everyone. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, so I probably just said something like that, told him he was going to die alone and unhappy. You know, the kid was a pansy. Real pansy.
Parker's death marks the 6th atomic-related fatality in the last month, arriving on the heels of Department of Defense scientist Bruce Banner's gamma irradiation and Dr. Reed Richards, along with his 3-person crew, who all succumbed to cosmic rays during their maiden spaceflight. Next week on Factline, Jessica Jones interviews a man who claims to be the Norse thunder god, Thor.
I am Asgardian born and warrior bred. By the single eye of Odin, I shall swing my mighty hammer and smite all those who dare threaten this realm of Midgard.
And what would you say if I told you that you were nothing more than U.S. citizen Donald Blake, whose most recent whereabouts have been traced to a mental hospital, where you were admitted for a nervous breakdown?
Rarely hath the god of thunder been addressed thus. How doth a mortal wench such as thou find the courage to unleash yon treachery upon the wielder of Mjolnir?
All that and more on the next episode of Factline. Good night and Excelsior.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web in his eyes, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Yes, he's strong, listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can swing from a thread, take a look overhead. Here, there, there goes the Spider-Man. In the chills of the night, I'm the scene of a crime. Like a streak of light in your eyes, still time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Well, the man is ignored, action is his reward. Look